it connects, which it's doing now, I will play the intro and then we'll be in business. So as soon as that's done, I will play the intro and yeah, we're live. Okay, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Now I'm going to play the intro, give people a couple of minutes to come in, and I'll pull you up on screen. So how's it going, everybody? We have a friend here. His name is Guinness, and he just decided to pop in here, and so we're just going to share the love. Yeah. Hi. All right. So
you've got matching hair.
I know, man. All right. So let me just get Beau up here. Can you close the door? Yeah. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Beau. Promote to panelists. Okay, Beau, we're in business. Man, I don't know, it's a crazy day with electronics. Very crazy. Yeah. All right, let's see, Beau. Turn on your video, unmute your microphone, and right on. Unmute your microphone. You see it? It should be like there you go. What's happening, Beau?
Hey, everybody. Hi, Todd.
Been a long time coming. Long time coming.
Brother.
Yeah, blessings to you, man. Blessings to you. It's good to finally see you in person.
Yeah.
I've seen you on video quite a few times. But I know you took a sabbatical from Facebook like so many people are doing.
Yeah. Well, what a beautiful time we're in.
Isn't it? Isn't it great? Isn't it great? It's a little bit intriguing to me, puzzling to me that there's so much, well, I don't want to say so much, I don't want to get carried away, but there's a lot of projection out there. There's a lot of over-identification with polarities, people taking stances, separation, and, it's a good time for us to remember why we're here, but yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a fantastic time, especially with all these conditions, and you're over there in Melbourne where they're just going hog shit crazy over there. About to put you on in level 5, and you can only go to the grocery store once a week, and what the hell, but it's also serving us well with energetically, being out of our routines and being alone, and so how are you riding that out over there?
It's a roller coaster highway at the moment, but I consider myself lucky. I'm about 3.5 hours outside of Melbourne.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I'm not in the war zone at the moment. I'm outside the war zone, but it's just a bit of a roller coaster at the moment, and trying to keep a level head about it, everything, and remembering who we are and why we're here and what we're here to do. And
yeah.
So
now, are you up near Byron Bay?
I'm not near Byron Bay. I am near a bay. I am near the water.
Yeah,
So
that's
which
cool.
is really cool.
Yeah. Man, I know
Yeah.
that you've spent, I know because I know you. I mean, we haven't talked before, we've messaged before over the years. And because I mean, we connected probably 3-4 years ago for the first, the
Yeah.
first time. And I know you're very open, you're very vocal, you're very deep, emotionally deep, and I know you've struggled with something that a lot of people, a lot of us, me included, for at least temporary periods of time, and that is trying to wake people up, and um, not getting the response all the time. I mean, I guess I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, I think it's
It's yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I think maybe it's part of the evolution of a light worker. I mean, when we get hit with, initially we pop, or later on we get strong downloads, and we want to tell everybody, and then you see people making posts like I have and you have back in the day,
Yeah.
and like, why is anyone listening to me? But then at some point, maybe it's part of our evolution to let go of that, detach. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Me personally, it's really a battle of myself that I've come to discover. And when I sit back and I observe the behaviors, I can see that we go through this dark night of the soul, and we go through the same type of sequence with that. And in a way, the ego and the ego can get caught in that, like trying to get people to listen to you when they don't want to, or they don't resonate, and trying to force that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't.
work. It doesn't work. And I think another thing too is that's kind of coming to the field has been that we start to realize that Morgan calls it sticky nose. She goes, I guess it's an Australian term, but we come to realize that, that's not our deal. Our deal isn't really to wake people up. Our deal is to bring ourselves into further alignment. And the more time we spend trying to convert people, let's just put it that way, it's kind of like the wounded healer archetype frequency. I'm paying attention to someone else, and I'm doing good, and I'm rationalizing it, yet I'm neglecting a part of me that hasn't been brought into alignment. So it's kind of tricky, but maybe it's part of the new quantum realities where we start to realize the best thing we can do to serve everyone else is to serve ourselves first.
That's right. And it's taken me quite a few years to actually come to a point where I'm not doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm focusing on myself and just letting the information be in the flow. And not trying to move it or control it, just letting the energy flow, letting the information flow. And when we really let go of controlling anything, things really open up, and they really do start flowing.
They really do. It's crazy. It's crazy because like especially things that are really dear to us, or that we don't want to lose, or that we have a lot of conviction about. And it's like, when you let them go, they always come back enhanced and almost immediately. But you can't let them go thinking, oh, I'm going to let it go because I know it's going to come back, because it won't work. You've actually got to energetically let it go, surrender, give it away in the name of love, as love. Let it be free, and then it always comes back. But you can't trigger that with that thought in mind, because it just negates it.
Absolutely. We can get trapped in that mindset where we're very passionate and very excited about what we know, or we might come across something that's exciting to us, and we try and push that narrative. And you got a lot of, I get a lot of resistance when I really push the narrative. So what I've done, especially in the last 6 months to 12 months, is I've really tried to be self-aware of the actions of pushing the narrative of the information, and being self-aware of that and stepping back from that and letting it flow, you know?
Yeah, and you have a good example over there. I know you're 3.5 hours of Melbourne, but our brother Neil Devaney, he asked me to ask you a question. I know you're 3.5 hours out of Melbourne, and here we are talking about this subject of pushing a narrative, or what's righteous, or what we think needs to be done. He says, "What's your take on what's going on in Melbourne?" I mean, and I think I would just expand the question, like, what's your take on it in terms of the collective field in Melbourne proper, and also what's your take on it from an individual perspective?
So from a collective standpoint, I feel like it really is the dark night of the soul. I feel like it's a breakdown of the old energy, the old way of doing things, the old way of thinking, the old way of doing things. And that collectively, what's happening in Melbourne is actually affecting the collective, especially around Australia. And I can see that people are scared and fearful, and look at a little puppy dog.
Yeah, he's cute. His name is Guinness.
I think the information's what they've been waiting for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people now that are having these sudden realizations, and they're waking up so quickly. It's an avalanche going down the hill. The energy is just getting more and more intense, and I think it's going to come to a point where all the Australian people are going to come together, and
that would be pretty fierce, man. Well, my wife's from Australia, and and what I've noticed since all this happened, because we were in Florida, we were in South Florida when it happened, and and of course you've got to question any information that's put out there, including how many deaths, how many people got it, and all that. And I think it's so ridiculous out there that most people have come to the conclusion that something's just not right, whether they agree on whatever the statistics are. But one thing that seems to be accurate has been that in Australia there hasn't been, proportionate to the population, there hasn't been the number of reported cases, the number of reported deaths. And it just seems kind of interesting that they're taking such an extreme measure in that particular region of Melbourne. And it just makes you wonder what the hell's going on there. But I love what you said about, I think that this is like a collective dark night of the soul. And I think you said something to the effect that the code is being made available as a result of what seems to be ill-intended or duplicitous energy that's being presented to everybody.
It's amazing to see what's going on. In a way, in my 3D self, it really breaks my heart to see the struggle and to see what's happening. But to my higher self sees that it's all for the greater good. It's all for their spiritual development, their mental development, and their physical development. And that is a beautiful thing. When we see it from a higher perspective, it's cleaning out the old. It's realizing that we've been doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. It's breaking out of those old habits and old ways of doing things. And it's taken this pandemic for us to, get to a point where we know that what we've done in the past hasn't worked. And now we need to, do something that we haven't done before, and go through this massive consciousness shift collectively and individually. And it's an incredible time to be here.
Yeah, it is.
But,
It really is.
when
Now, I'm just making an observation from knowing you and just my own experience in doing what I do for the last 9 years. You're very connected, like a lot of people. I mean, you have a hypersensitivity. You're not just sensitive, you're hypersensitive. So I know you're locked in. And I
yeah,
know that, like a lot of people that are listening, uh, your sanity was challenged both by yourself and other people around you throughout your life, and many of us can identify with that. But
yes.
having said that, I just want to get an idea. Like, did you ever go to sleep? Were you always connected since
Um,
you were a kid? I mean, were you having like divine episodes and visitations and apparitions and stuff as a kid? Because I have a feeling you did.
yeah, your intuition has always served you well, Todd.
Hmm.
I wanted to talk about this. This is
Yeah.
exciting. So when I was a baby, I was the boy in the bubble. I was allergic to everything. I was allergic to food. I was allergic to hair products and colorings and flavorings and different gases in the air, different products. So I was a boy in the bubble.
Wow.
And the first 5 years of my life, I was in and out of hospital because I was very, very sick. And I got up to the age of 8 or 10, and I was able to start to eat more and more food. And my allergic reactions were becoming less and less. And then at the age of 15, I had a real big spiritual awakening where my granddad appeared in front of me at the end of my bed. And that was a really incredible experience.
Wow.
And what I remember of that is I was sleeping out in the lounge room at the time, and he was standing at the end of my bed, and I put my covers away from my head and I looked and I seen him. And it was amazing. He was see-through. He looked the way I remember. He had his hat on, his glasses, and everything was so 3D down to the minute detail. And I put my head back over my covers, and I lifted it about 2 or 3 seconds after I screamed, and I lifted the doona off my head again, and I seen him going through the roof. All I seen was his waist and his legs going straight through the roof. And that was a big wake up call. And now that I think about it, he was telling me at 15 years old, you have a mission to do. Yeah. This is a reality, and you're here for a reason. So I was doing a lot of Reiki. I was doing a lot of talking to spirits on the other side.
Now, was this at 15? Were you 15?
Yes.
You were doing Reiki at 15. Wow, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were communicating with non-physical energy.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Go continue.
Yeah. And so I got to about 21, 22, and I really went down the rabbit hole. Like, it hit me. I came across David Icke, and I came across other people. And I was around 2 of my friends at the time, and we were spending all day talking to each other and doing our research. All the dark night of the soul got brought up. The breaking down of what we thought was real. So I guess that experience when I was 15 was kind of a kickstart to what was coming up, but I didn't know what was coming up. And then when it was happening, I was really starting to learn rapidly and deeply. I did remember my teenage years and remembered, what was happening back then.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be like random events. It seems to be, it's all connected. And the paranormal experiences are there to guide us.
Yeah.
Well, to guide me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really cool. So I got to a stage where I was I actually locked myself away in my house for a year or two, and all I did was study every day. That's all I did was study and research, and then I decided that I needed to do something with the information. So I started to do UFO conferences, and I've had one or two, and that was back in 2015, 2016. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. I've had that many paranormal experiences. It's just been incredible, really.
Have you had, well, let's break it down a little bit. I mean, because I know, I can tell by talking to you, you actually remind me of a couple of people I know on a personal level. But I can tell you've had major and ongoing activity, which, first of all, takes a lot. It takes a lot to maintain your sanity you know, and of course, locking yourself up, as many of us lived a hermit type existence for, you know, at least a couple of 2-3 years, you know.
Yes.
And I guess it was a means of unconscious protection to keep us from being, you know, brought down. But have you had you were doing UFO conferences, so had you had visitations from Star Family? What's your experience been with them? Are you getting downloads from specific Star Family, and what type of messages?
I don't know about specifics, but I've had different experiences which have led me to believe that I have had contact, but they won't let me remember. Yeah. And that's on purpose. That's
I can resonate. Yeah, I resonate with that. I resonate with that.
They don't want to scare me. They don't want to take me off the path I'm on. So we don't remember, but we feel it energetically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been incredible. There's been a number of events in the last 5 or 6 years where I just know that, you know, I know that I've had contact. For example, there's a dream that I had years and years ago where I was out in the forest in Australia, out in the bush, and there was a dirt road, and it was like a camping ground out in the middle of nowhere. And I remember standing there, and I had my palm out like that, like stretched out, and there was a little grey standing on my hand.
Wow.
A little baby grey just standing on my hand. And I remember turning my head, and it was telepathing me. And then all of a sudden I've turned, and on the dirt road there was a car with my friends in it, and they're telling me, "Come on, Beau, you got to go, mate, let's go." And as I hopped in the car, I woke up, and I felt this I felt like they left me. I felt this like I'd been abandoned or left in some way, in an energy type of way. But I felt like I was also flying. I was also traveling somewhat. And yeah, that wasn't a dream.
The dreams aren't dreams. Yeah, the dreams aren't dreams.
After that, even more started to make sense. And listening to some people that I've been listening to for many, many years, someone like Mary Rodwell has turned around and said that there's 172 species of grey alone.
Oh yeah.
And I had picked up that maybe different types of the same race have different agendas.
Yeah.
That's what I picked up.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's interesting. That's interesting too, because not only does that apply to, well, it applies to humans. It
Yes,
applies because if you take any group, you could take an ethnic group, you could take a religious group. They all have splintered sext or, splintered affiliations. Let's put it that way. But,
yes,
we've talked about this on the show recently, which not only could you apply that to the Galactic, but, people talk about their team or who they connect to or what they connect to. And some, like myself, have noticed that certain ones, actually all of them, have kind of a specific, I don't, and maybe agenda is not the right word, but a
personality.
specialty, like something that they're promoting. And it's just a part of us, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
we have to discern in all dimensions, all timelines. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And when we have these galactic experiences, we may see that that's happening over there, and I'm having my own experience. But really, these cosmic connections and galaxy connections that we have, it's all a reflection of our inner self or the higher self.
Yeah.
And I guess that they're just they're here to guide us because we have free will on this planet, and they can't interfere. They can't interfere somewhat because of the free will. So we have to be the ones that have to connect to them.
Yeah.
And we have to do it with intent and have an open heart and use the heart vortex to, have connection there. But it's really about know thyself, because to have these experiences, really have to clean out a lot of debris, and a lot of the old stuff. And
That's right.
I guess they help you with that as well. But you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to walk down the yellow brick road. So
and I think that, look, that's the basic equation that I've observed and experienced for the last 9 years. That, you got free will. And at the end of the day, we have to be the ones to overcome the resistance, to overcome attachment, judgment. It's like they, whatever that is, the you, me, we, and it, the galactics, the angelics, the elementals, whatever, they have certain influence. They come, for instance, if somebody experiences a dark energy, there is a direct relation between that individual, which I've been there, and I know you've been there. But that when you start to understand, hey, wait a minute, I ordered that off the menu at a higher level. There's no boogeyman out there. That exists in me. Just like the angels, the devils do too, right? And but this is something that although it's been the basic equation, as we've trying to figure out how to build this new template, new blueprint, as we navigate this transition we call ascension, the thing is, it's getting louder now. Like if we continue to resist, the repercussions of that are much bigger than they were 5 years ago. If we continue to be attached to something, a label, a role, a home, a job, a relationship, whatever, the repercussions of that are getting much, much louder. Just as if we have, like you said, if we have the right alignment, or at least we're in the right trajectory and we're aligning and we have the right intention and being from the heart, what serves me in the universe equally, there's been an enhancement, not only in the speed of manifestation, but also in the volume of our creative energy in alignment with universal will. So, this is a big deal. And maybe this is one of the reasons that people such as Dolores Cannon years ago, and more people over the last 2 or 3 years, talk about this great divide. This great divide, it's not about, oh, they're the good people and they're the bad people over there. It's more like who's surrendering truly surrendering without reservation,
Yeah.
and who is not. And it's not about right
Yeah.
or wrong, or who's better or worse. It's just a fact. You either
Mhm.
surrender in total, in totality, or we have all been there on the other end of it, and are to one degree or another, where
Yeah.
we resist, we overly attach, we stay in judgment, and we
Mhm.
say, okay, I surrender, but I have one, two, three, four, five, six different absolutes that I'm going to hold on to. And so I'll be 94% surrendered. Well, the universe isn't working that way right now. The universe
That's
is
right.
saying, hey, it's an all or nothing proposition. And if you want to get drugged through the mud,
Mhm.
then you're
Mhm.
going to get drugged through the mud. And
That's right.
if you feel like what you're holding on to is worth it,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
that's something you're going to have to work out for yourself. But on the other end of it, this total
Mhm.
surrender seems to be growing and growing, although painfully growing and
Yeah.
growing through the collective, through,
Yeah.
one-on-one exchanges like this, and our day-to-day interactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's really for everybody and myself included, it's forgiving, really forgiving yourself for
Yeah.
whatever has happened in the past,
Right.
or for whatever regrets you have personally for the self. It's letting go of that, and when we surrender and have forgiveness for the self, we can move and create more energetically. And I can see that the universe is dragging us through the mud, whether we like it or not. But you know what the beautiful thing is? It's all about the development of the soul. Whether people have perception of dark and light, it's only a perception, and it's all about the development of self, the development of soul, the development of. I feel like Melbourne. I feel like I'm getting a vision now. I'm feeling like Melbourne is going through the Jesus death. I really feel like it's going through this death of the old energy, the death of the old self, the old beliefs.
Yeah.
And
That's a
it's
that's a really
you
good
know,
point. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because if you look at all the places around the world, now I'm going to just
Mhm.
pull from the Sology demographics, right? So you're talking, I don't know, hard numbers, like say 80,000 people, right? And the interesting thing is, I think we all know Australia is ancient in some way. There's something about Australia, and as there is about other places in the world, but it's such an isolated area.
Yeah.
So that New Zealand, Australia, there's something about it. There's less people, in terms of per capita per land mass. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, America's got 350 million people, same size, and you guys got 20, right? So
Yeah.
that would, to me, would, people would be more grounded, more attached, able to be in nature and so on. But what I'm trying to say is that what I've noticed about the demographics is Melbourne region is like the sixth or seventh biggest representation by city, or region. And you're talking like New York, Chicago,
Yeah.
London, Houston,
Wow.
and so I'm
Mhm.
always looking at it going, wow, that's trippy, because there's not a lot of people over there. I would imagine maybe there's 1.5 million, 2 million people there, as opposed to some of these really big cities. But what you're saying rings true, because where would you get the biggest lift from but to go and pressurize an area, let's just say, that is more elevated, in
Mhm.
general, than a place that's more dense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
There's a lot of light workers in Melbourne, and I guess they're working with the energy and at the moment, and it's just I really don't know what to say about the whole situation, because I'm, instead of being the instigator, I'm sitting back and observing now. I
Yeah.
think this is the time we've been waiting for,
Yeah.
and I think whatever happens, but we need to realize that we really are the creators of our own reality,
Yeah.
and it is the letting go of the old
Yeah.
and the forgiveness of self that's really going to make a positive impact for the future. So,
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said for the school of thought, which I mostly adhere to, which is we're actually creating, like in other words, we're the ones down here doing it. The angels, the galactics, they're not down here doing it. We're doing it in the flesh, in this dense body, in this dense realm, and we're actually figuring out how to bring higher truth, how to bring a more broad 0-point soul highway, whatever you want to call it. And I think one of the things that's really coming to a head right now is because of the things that are coming to the surface in a global way, right? There's an accentuation on the individual having to look at their own stuff, right? So there tends to be an over-identification with what I am not, which is actually sustaining and even expanding the field of polarity. Now, as an example, there's these things going on and you want to correct them. You want for it to be right. And it can piss you off. Now, if you're pissed off, you are lending to the expansion of polarity, no matter how right or wrong you feel you are. And that goes for all of us. So on one hand, we want to stop the madness, but on the other hand, we can't utilize the old paradigms or personalities of the human that we're leaving. We can't utilize the war gene. And I'm even going to go so far as to say, protesting, boycotting, marching. There's just too much in the mix out there. You don't know who's an agent provocateur and who's not. You don't know what is being stated, is if it's accurate or it's not. Is it being put out by the opposition polarity or not? And so it really goes back to what you're saying, the discovery of the goddess that we are, made in the image, which through the personal transformation within their own universe, within themselves, that there is a direct and immediate matching, transformation in the external. And I know that sounds like, but I think this is,
completely understand.
Yeah, but I think this is, I think slowly people are actually starting to utilize that. And that is a way we've not used before.
Yeah, that's right, Todd. Just trying to think about what you've said there. That's really where we're at right now. And we don't need to be out on the street and protesting and reacting through emotions. What we need to do is be protesting in ourselves with our 3D self to our higher self, and transitioning from that, like what you were saying before. And I mean, we're in a time of rapid change and rapid expansion, and the energies are going to continue to get stronger, whether we go on the roller coaster or not, whether we go on the soul highway or not. It's still going to be manifesting in all these different types of forms, and we can't be doing what we've done in the past, like protesting, because that hasn't worked before, and that's all based on human emotion and low vibration. And I think having conversations, talking, and expanding the self is the way to go.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, and I'm just weird, and I look for little things that everybody can relate to. As we're learning to be responsible for ourselves and therefore have more awareness, not so much of what's going on out there, because what's going on out there is no different. And it's no different than the visitation from your grandfather or the dream with the ETs. These things are meant to open up code and memory within ourselves. They're actually no different than the ET visitations and Morgan and I've had in the bedroom. Something coming to light in the global stage. Now where I'm going with this is, how does a human hybrid soul, as I call them, the divine human, how do we, because the human part of us is here, and it cannot be denied. So how do we relay this to the human on a conscious level and constructively align with our multidimensional aspects and universal will? Well, one of them is that I've noticed, and I first noticed it in myself. I actually noticed it in other people. Then I said, do I do that? And I'm like, oh yeah, you do. And then I worked on it for months and months and months. And that is, if I've got to spend a lot of time proving my own actions, then I'm not, then I'm not in unity consciousness. I'm actually trying to validate my existence and validate my actions in kind of a self-righteous frequency that's blind or closed down to my multidimensionality and my higher self, So
I've been there. I mean, you just explained the last couple of years of what I've been going through as well. Straight on the ball with that. Yeah, it's, I mean, with me, I've put out the information, and I've gotten to a stage where if people resonate with it, that's okay. If they don't, that's okay as well. And I've really had to accept in myself, okay, people are not going to understand you. People are not going to accept you. People are not going to, they're just not going to get it. And I guess that also involves the forgiveness of self.
Yeah.
Within this expansion, and the ET stuff and what is happening to the world now, it absolutely relates, because it's all about the growth of the soul.
Yeah.
And the human experience. Yeah, the human experience.
Yeah. Sometimes I picture it like this, because I do think the galactic part is visible to the degree that it is, and let's just say in comparison to the angelic frequency or the elemental frequency, I think the galactic is as visible as it is because it's a very in other words, some people think we're from the future, our galactic aspects. I actually think it's from our past. It's the closest thing to us. And so sometimes I have this thing in my head because, with our multidimensionality and what's this thing on Earth, it's a university, it's a playground. What is it? We're up there, on the ship, and we're like, okay, who's going down?
Yeah.
And we know it, and we know what it is. We know it's that we're eternal. We know that that we're protected, for lack of a better word. Because in that space we don't even need protection, but then we go down there, and then our team or our family or our monad comes down and works with us to try to keep us in center point and keep us balanced by giving us these hints and these synchronicities and these things that are like subtle and seem coincidental and all that. But I wonder about that sometimes, because to me, the galactic feels very, very close. Very, very close. Not that the elementals don't, because the elementals to me feel very organic and earthy. But there's something about, and maybe this is the real disclosure. Who did what to who and all that. Maybe it's what is our true history? Who made us? What made us? What does it look like? And what does that mean? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think that's where it comes down to, because when the whole collective goes through this massive spiritual shift that the individual's going through at the moment, people are going to want to know about the history. Who are we? Where do we come from? Who made us? Why do we use 10% of our brain? Why have we been energetically shut down and spiritually shut down, and we only use 10% or a fraction of our true potential and possibility while being in a physical human body.
Right on.
And I guess me personally, I think it relates back to very ancient times like Atlantis.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a collective trauma that happened all those years ago, which stayed in the collective energy.
Yeah.
And that was going back to the floods of the Bible and the cataclysms that happened on Earth. That stayed in our energy blueprint for years to come.
Yeah.
After that cataclysmic event.
Yeah. It's almost like
Yeah.
if you look at the entire human history, let's just go back to whatever, Atlantis 15,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the entire human collective as one person, right?
Yeah.
And so you start to climb the hill, and you start to achieve and succeed and whatever, and then boom, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And we've all had these experiences to one degree or another in our lives. A failed
Absolutely.
marriage, a job that didn't work out, a tragedy, an accident, and so you're right. It stays in the memory, and this is where there was maybe a deepening of what's been stored in our cellular, in our atomic makeup, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and maybe, my feeling is based on the work that I do. And what I mean by that is the information I've taken in, the code that's been presented to me, the energy that's been presented to me, and just observing other people, is that we've kind of taken up where Atlantis left off, where Egypt left off, where like every time we went and boom. And it looks like this time, which has been prophesized.
Mm-hmm. And we're all from there. We're all from Egypt. We're all from Atlantis.
Yeah.
And one of the big realizations is all of us that are in this spiritual community, we all knew each other in the other lives.
Absolutely.
We all knew each other, and that's beautiful. That is absolutely amazing to have that realization that a lot of us really knew each other in past lives. And, it's like, we're going to come down in this time and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Yeah. And we are going to take off.
Now, what do you think about this? So there's been conversations had here, and I'm sure other places recently, that, because it's one thing to say, oh, it's already done, and it doesn't mean anything, but it's another thing to say, hey, we as a group, as a collective, energetically achieved X, Y, Z, whatever, 6 months ago. And now it's materializing, like it happens in the energetic field first, and then it happens here. And oftentimes I think we think of manifestation or instant manifestation as something that, you think it happens, but maybe it's backwards. Maybe we think it and do it back here in the energetic field, and then it follows suit in the physical experience. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's weird because what we think, I believe, physically creates our reality, but then we can create reality through intuition. And maybe some of our thoughts might only present a little bit of the creation of what we want or what we're going through. And we have to work really on the self to get to that state where we really can manifest. And the more that we raise, the more that we let go of the old, and the more that we connect with spirit and the heart and really know thyself, the manifestation that we can create will be instantaneous. We won't even have to think about it.
Yeah. Which is, and
you know?
maybe again, that's why we're here too, because anything you pick up on or experience in dimension or in dream, that's the way it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go, I need to pull a sword out of my back pocket, and there you go. But, and maybe that was the thing here, is like, you know, to go into a physical existence versus the non-physical or the etheric, there is a big difference. And maybe that's what we've been doing. Maybe we've been part of a team or an experiment or an experience to do more than just emulate energetically, but to actually literally be able to do in the flesh, as gods and goddesses in the flesh, what we do in the ethers, you know?
Yeah.
This is fascinating stuff, to even be talking about this stuff on a wide level in the year 2020 or any year. I mean, this just, it's just starting to add up. What do you think the rest of the year is going to look like? What do you think the potential is on both ends of the spectrum?
I believe that there's a massive shift in October. I don't know if you've come across anyone that has said anything about October, but I believe that October is going to be another roller coaster. I don't want to scare people.
I remember last October. Last October was an MFER. Okay. I remember that very well. Now, I remember too, from 2017 and 2018. Let me see if I got this right. And even 2019, I remember that September was almost like a very clear, lucid, concluding, integrating period. And then it was pointed out to me actually by Amanda Lawrence a couple of years ago, because we were both like, because I don't get that, like what you just said. I don't normally get stuff like that, but I kept telling her, hey, you know what? Something about September. And she was getting it. And then she said, you know, the number 9 is completion. And so the number 10 is you're starting over, right? It's a new beginning. And I remember October last year was pretty intense, man. I remember that very well.
Yeah. We've just had the Lion's Gate. Talk about the dark night of the soul. For me personally, I was crying for 2 days. I was going through all kinds of emotions, and I think this energy coming up, it's I think we can work with it or work against it.
Yeah.
We can believe in ourselves, or we can just plod along and okay, but these energies are really getting more and more intense. They really are. Even from like 2017, 2018, we thought they were strong then. Yeah. And now it's like we had no idea what was coming.
Well, everything is more enhanced now.
Yeah.
The highs, the lows, the thing that's probably not is, 2 years ago, a year ago, it took us, let's say, a week to process, an influx or an infusion of, say, solar energy, whatever. Now it might take us a day, an hour, 10 minutes, but it still hurts. You still go,
it does. It does.
Right?
But, it's like, okay, it hurts. Okay, I don't like this, but it's for my soul's development. Okay. If it's spirit's will for me to go through this, for me to get to ascension, for me to actually feel what God is going through on so many different levels of experience, emotion, manifestation, all these things are being brought up within us and reflecting out into the collective. And it seems like chaos out here, but it's all the expansion of the soul, whether it's good or bad, dark or light.
Absolutely.
It's for our bloody good.
For the
Really?
for the one
It's for our
soul, for the one soul that is Mother Universe and all the fractals that make it up. But
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you something I can't remember now. Damn. But let me say this. This is an exciting last show of the week, and Beau and I have connected off and on, you know, for 3 or 4 years, and this is the first time we ever done a show. So I look forward to collaborating again. You know, both in this way and maybe even artistically. You know, as time goes on. I want to ask you because I know I've seen you do different expressions. I remember several different things. I don't know if before we get out of here, if there's anything that you want to do, anything you want to give to us, any advice, comments, activations, whatever, you know, it's anything at all.
Okay. You know, I've been telling myself this the last couple of days, and love each other, and just know that we're all suffering from the same thing at the moment. We're going through the same thoughts, we're going through the same emotions. We're, as a collective, people in Melbourne, people in Australia, just try to love each other, try to support each other, try to if someone gets upset with you in the street because you might have said something, or maybe you refuse to acquiesce like everyone else, maybe just send them love. Don't try and prove your point. Just send them love, whether it's telling them that you're loved or sending them energy. I think it's just forgive the self and send the love to yourself, because when you send the love to yourself, it will manifest outwards. Forgive the self, and other people will forgive themselves.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great point.
I mean, it is the toughest energy and the toughest time we are going through right now. And if we don't stay focused, and we don't stay open-minded, and we don't stay in the heart, I don't know what's going to happen, but
It'll be like it would be like
I think we've
Groundhog
got
Day.
this.
Yeah, it'll be like Groundhog Day. But it's like,
Yeah,
you know, like I've said this many times, you know, I was told 8-9 years ago, you know, like all of us, what do we do? What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah,
tell me what to do.
right.
Now that you're talking to me, and you know they don't make it that easy. You know, they don't. They just
Yeah.
say, here's a little this and here's a little that. You figure it out. But they would tell me over and over, whatever you do something that's never been done before. Right. And to me, that pretty much says it. That's why you've seen. So I remember like 2 years ago, and I was being told, as I met this woman on the other side of the world, and you know, and everything says we're supposed to be together, and I don't even have money for lunch. You know, I mean, how am I? And I kept hearing, if it doesn't make sense and you get it and it comes in, do it. If it makes sense, then you're probably not going down the right road. But if it comes in and it's just like, why would I do something like that? You know, why would I spend my last $100 on a ticket to New York? Because you told me to. And then you do it, and then things start to come as a result of that of that faith in that connection. You know, so now you're operating off the intuitive versus the, you know, if I go do this, what am I going to get? What are you going to give me? And then I'll go do it. No, it doesn't work that way. So, but I'd love to collaborate with you again later in the year, and just check in with you and see what's happening. You know, and just keep this thing going. I'm glad that you reached out. I'm sorry about you falling through the cracks, because we were going through a transition. And
that's okay. I was meant to. I was, you know, I love everybody, and you're amazing, Todd. You don't need to be told. You already know. And you have guided and helped so many people. And I've seen you expand, and I've seen you grow, and you should be so proud of yourself, Todd. We should all be proud of ourselves. You know, We're
Thank you, Beau.
amazing.
I
We're
know we are.
amazing.
We are amazing. And I thank you
We
for
are.
that, Beau. I thank you for that. You give your partner a big hug and kiss, third eye kiss for me. And
Yep.
we'll do it again. You know, we'll do it again in a couple of months, whatever, you know.
Thank
We're-
you. I'm
Absolutely.
so humbled. I'm so humbled.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
you're a beautiful, beautiful, beloved brother, man. And I'm so excited that we finally came together. And what a great way to end the week.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
I'll take this with me and I'll marinate in it, and
Mm.
I'll be in touch. You take care, man.
Peace
All
out.
right. All right.
Thanks.
Peace out to you.